All right, thank you. A warm hello and welcome to everyone. All right, so on behalf of the Design Business Chamber of Singapore, I'd like to thank all of you for taking time here to join in to this design crawl this afternoon. All right, and today we are delighted to invite the winners of our recent 2021 SG Mark winners to come back and share with us their inspiring projects, okay, and how their projects are able to make design more inclusive. All right. Please allow me to share my screen. I'm David, okay, and I am the moderator for today's session. Apart from wearing the hats as an EXCO member of Design Business Chamber of Singapore, I also run Studio Non, which is an interior architecture and industrial design studio. So let us start off with a bit of house rules to remind all of us that this session will be recorded and all the participants in this webinar will be muted, okay, in respect to all the panelists. So if you would need any assistance, please feel free to use the chat function, which most of us are quite familiar with already. There is also a Q&A function at the bottom bar of your Zoom window, where you could place your questions as you go along hearing the panelists speak, okay? And we will address these questions at the end of the session, all right? So please be patient with that. So the program for the day starts off with a short introduction by myself about DBCS, as well as what is SG Mark. At 4:05, we're a little bit behind. We will start off with the sharing of the first team. All right, we will go into the introduction of all of them later. So in this webinar, we are also trying out a new function, which is what we're trying for the first time, which is the interpretation feature. And at the bottom of your Zoom bar of options, you are also able to see this button of interpretation. We will activate this interpretation in the second sharing, which the main speaker will be sharing with us in Mandarin. And we will have a running translation. So as you click on the button, you are able to toggle and select either English or Chinese. So based on the channel you have chosen, you will still be able to hear a faint voice of the original message, which is not being selected. So to off that faint sound, you will be able to mute the original audio at the option below. All right. So this will be activated in the second sharing by our sharer, which is sharing in Mandarin. So just a little background about Design Business Chamber of Singapore. We started in 1985 as the Designers Association of Singapore. In 2012, after some changes in our constitution, we are renamed the Design Business Chamber of Singapore. And we still remain as the only multidisciplinary chamber that facilitates collaboration between design and business communities. And this chamber goes by the slogan of better business by design. And DBCS, in short, really exists to facilitate business transformation through design innovation. And our aim is to rally businesses and communities to not just achieve better business by design, but to really use design for social good. One of the flagship programs that is run by DBCS is the Singapore Good Design.
I think your slide is stuck. Maybe I will share for you.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
I will stop share. Okay, it's slowly loading up right now. I think because the load is quite heavy today. Okay, so everybody see the full screen right now? All right, thank you. So one of the flagship program that DBCS run is the Singapore Good Design. And we launched it in 2013 in partnership with the Japan Institute of Design Promotion, which founded the prestigious Good Mark. And this SG mark is to establish and to set the benchmark for exceptional design quality that impacts businesses and communities in Singapore and beyond. Next slide. Some of the categories in SG mark includes product, architecture, interior design, branding, experience design, digital solutions, sustainable design, and in every year, we would have a special category. All right, and in this year's special category, we name it virtually unlimited. All right, it's an open category that is really up to the creativity of designers to interpret. Next slide, please. So in 2021, recently, we also held our first ever hybrid awards ceremony. So we have invited guests and of course, winners to partake in this ceremony. And of course, being hybrid, we also had a session which we had the live winners to join us virtually. And one of the winners that joined us, that clinched the prestigious Platinum Award, will be sharing with us today in the second sharing. Next slide. So now I would like to share with us the team that will share with us the first sharing. We have Mr. Woon Tai Woon, Mr. Sim Hao Jie, Nathaniel Orlandi, and Chan Wai Lim to share with us about two products, the Kohler Riblet and the Kohler Struktura Hygiene Urinal, which is the Gold Award winner of the SG mark. So without further ado, may I hand the time over to this A team to share with us about their project.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Great. All right, Taiwoon, then I'll hand over the time to you then.
Hi everyone. So it's really a pleasure to be here. And like what David was just sharing, it's actually a very big teamwork that we have done. And over a long period of time, we have actually finished this project. So I just wanted to just very quickly share how we are doing this. And I'm really glad that we are going to share this with a bunch of good friends, regionally combined together to do such a wonderful project, because it's actually a very culturally sensitive and something that I think it's actually quite rare in this market space. So next one, please. So how it all started originally was one fine day during 2017, I just got a text from my director, Loon, and it just goes something like this: go find out more about Muslim. And I was really puzzled. And like what they always say, next, Google is your best friend. What I do was that, when your boss or your senior leaders ask you something, you don't ask them why, you start to try to understand what's happening. I look for my best friend, Google, and I started to find that there was a lot of things that we don't really know about Muslim. And as you start connecting the dot Muslim rituals, I found something that was really interesting, that we kind of see it, but we don't really know what's happening. So next, as I start learning more about this information, and if you are more curious enough, you start to find out a lot of very interesting details that I wanted to share with you. So there was a website called the Pew Foundation. It's actually a think tank in the US. And I'm going to spare you all the details, but basically it says something like this. By 2050, out of 3 persons, 1 person will be a Muslim. And that's about 2.7 billion users in the world. And if you start looking at that in a global perspective, that's really huge, but we don't really know what does it mean, right? So if you try to extrapolate and try to move this into Southeast Asia, you also realize that Indonesia, for your in our context, is one of the biggest country in Southeast Asia. And in that counting, that's about 280 million of Muslim in the country. And that's a lot. So the reason why, you know, I actually show this out rather than just fancy design is this, you know, this is part of an innovation project. And one of my tasks to do things is that I need to find a way to articulate why it matters. And I need to speak in a language that actually makes sense to business leaders. And business leaders relate very well to numbers. And if you can articulate in a way that makes sense to them, and the numbers are something that's important, sensitive to them, it could actually help kind of gather more interest for the business leaders. So this slide was a slide that actually I used during the innovation forum in Kohler to kind of share that why are we trying to do this. Next. So again, numbers like, you know, credible websites from the BBC, you know, Indonesia has the largest population in Southeast Asia and the biggest Southeast Asia economy. It basically makes the business leader kind of say, oh, that's interesting. What's happening? So I'm not going to dwell more on that, but basically it's articulating there's a group of customers that we don't really know or don't really consider, and we call them the Muslim customers, you know, and this has been hugely ignored. And then with this information, I like to also share and get my team, Nathan from CX, Somia CX, to kind of highlight a little bit about the Muslim rituals. Nathan.
Thank you, Taiwan. So yeah, so Taiwan came to us and we start doing the research about Muslim. And while doing so, we find this saying, cleanliness is a part of faith. So what does it mean? So yeah, actually for Muslims, cleanliness is a very crucial key element. For them, in order to pray, you need to be clean. And so because you need to be clean, you have to clean yourself before you are doing the prayers. And there are certain ritual you have to do, which is called Wudu. So if you are not clean in Islam, you are not allowed to do the prayers. So next slide, Hauji. So yeah, what is Wudu? Wudu is a series of cleaning, steps of cleaning. So during Wudu, Muslims have to clean their hands, their nose, their mouth, their face, their elbows, their ears, head, and feet in a series of movement. And because Muslims need to do their prayers 5 times a day, so they need to do wudu 5 times a day. It's a very regular thing and a very essential thing that they need to do. It's just like eating for them. Because of that, they regularly do wudu. Next slide. So other than wudu, there is also istinja. Istinja is cleaning your private parts after you relieve yourself with water. And istinja and wudu have been done by the Muslims since the 7th century. So it's been thousands of years that they do this. But when we are doing our research, we found out that currently they are not very catered and overlooked by the sanitary space. So let's see some example on the next slide. So yeah, during our initial insight, during our research, we find out there are many strange phenomena. For example, like you see on the image on the left, you see this person is cleaning his feet on the wash machine. Like, what do you think when you see this? Like, you might think like he's very impolite, he's not being respectful, but actually because they need to do wudu, and it's a very essential part in their religion, they need to do this. They need to do wudu, even though the facilitation doesn't really facilitate them. So they are forced to do this because they need to do it 5 times a day. And even on the places that say that they are facilitating wudu, like in the right picture, it's not very respectful, we see. So like the place where they wudu and the place where they clean their mop is the same place. So it's not very clean and not very respectful. Next slide. For istinja, it also happened as well. Even though like there is like some kind of workaround right now for the urinal, like there is a spout to take water to clean their private parts, it's not very clean. It's rusty and hacky. And when you're doing this, there are big chance that you touch the urinal wall, which is actually not very clean. So even though this practice has been done since the 7th century, but right now it's not it's now being overlooked and not very catered well. When we are talking with the Muslim in Indonesia right now, because they have done this for a very long time, they see this habit as a normal. So yeah, we as the designer try to see other things from this. Next slide. Yeah.
So
Back to you, Taiwan.
sure, thank you, Nathan. So some of this exploration we call pre-incubation research. We did it with customer research on the ground, and we formulated all this information from the Google information and the ground effect. And then this was actually presented in the global innovation from Kohler, and we actually presented to senior leaders. And to our biggest surprise, although we got a lot of laughter, because people were very, very awkward about this whole situation. Nobody really knew that this was really an issue until we got footages of the ground effect and also customers' feedback. And we were very delighted that actually our leaders were very supportive, and they are basically saying, great, keep going. And when we got that, I started to assemble a series of teams that can help us take this project forward. So I call them the A team. We have Somia, the customer experience team based in Indonesia, because they are on the ground. They're able to help us on detailed user insights, testing and validations, and a lot of the nuances that, sometimes when you're not in it, it's very hard to understand. And then on the design perspectives, we have very, very competent, really cool design teams from NOK and Trigger Design to help us find out and trigger ideas and discussions, so that concurrently, as we start talking to customers, we are able to kind of get very direct interaction with them. So like we always say, sometimes when you ask people where they are very used to doing things, how are you, how do you feel? They can't articulate very clearly. So the right amount of design stimulus and the way we ask is very useful. And I think that this is actually very, very interesting, where we have Kohler staff, engineering teams, with user experience on the ground, and two really, really good design teams combined together in different intervals to kind of get this whole journey across. Mind you, this has been done, like what just now Nathan was saying, since the 7th century. So a lot of things are very ingrained, and we want to say, how do we respectfully take care of the culture and religion, yet innovate in a certain confines that makes them feel really like respected, and also be able to bring them to a different level of graciousness. So other than just selling this, I'm going to just move forward how we are going to do it in a simple way, so that you guys can get inspired and also learn how during difficult times we are able to innovate. Next one, please.
So yeah, for this project, we work together with the A team for 3 years. So yeah, initially we talked to the people to know what's happening in the ground. We talked to the Muslims and the users, and then also other people for this project. And then after that, yeah, we test the product from the one to one print out, so the people can like demonstrate how they are going to do this, and we keep iterating the design into more robust prototype. Later on, we will tell you the story, but maybe right now, how should we talk to the people? Like Taiwan said, like this has been ingrained in the habit of the people, and we want to know how should we approach to this project. So next slide. Yeah, so for this project, we are not only talking to the user, the end user of the project, but we also have to know whether like, is there a business need for this project? So because of that, we also talk to the architects and developers to know how, if we develop this product, how it will be used and whether there is a demand or not in the market for that. Other than with that, one of the most important part is also we talk to the Muslim experts, people who are who are experts in Muslim and like very respectful figure for the Muslims in Indonesia. So why are we talking to them? So we know the nuance and the conditions of the Muslims and whether what we are doing is does it fit or not to the Muslim religion. And from them we can know how to proceed this appropriately, so we don't do anything that is not appropriate to the religion. Next slide. So yeah, for this project, we are talking to quite a lot of people, like more than 50 people, and we include them to our project. So because this is a very sensitive process and iterative process, we are not only talking to them once, but we keep inviting them to talk with us on each round of development. So yeah, on each round of research, we talk to them and ask like, how do you want this to be improved and how we should proceed. And after keep doing the improvement, we come to them again and ask them whether does it fit with what you mean back then. And after that, we build relationship with them. So this project is not only design and iterating, but we also create a good relationship with the people, so we can do the collaborate together and co-design together for the design of the product.
I want to add on to what Nathan was just sharing. I think that we went through very fast. I think one of the things that actually make a lot of difference is that when we started on this project, we actually talked to our test subjects in a way where we told them this: we really don't know what we're doing. We want to make it better. Help us, because we want to make it better for you. And will you be really willing to go on this journey with us? And we, as we were doing a lot of this discussion, it was very, very time consuming. But to our biggest surprise is that after the first interview, when we start asking this question, who you want to help us on this journey, the answer was an overwhelming yes. They were all very surprised that, oh, this is really great, very interesting. Usually it's a research where you go in, do you like it, do you not, and then it's a bit more transactional and you go off. But then there's this crazy group of people who are there talking to you and say, this is what we want to do, and will you want to come back again? We hear you, and then we make some changes, and then we are going to come back in about 3 months' time, based on what you're saying, and we're going to test it with you. Will you want to go on this journey with us? And the answer was yes. And I think that the hidden heroes were actually the test subjects themselves. They were really, really passionate and really also very surprised that we want to do this. So again, over a period of 3 years, we go through the iterative project where it's co-design, and so that the products get refined better and better and better. Yeah, Nathan, please carry on.
Yeah, okay, let's move on to the next slide. Actually, Hauji,
Yeah,
the button is yours.
thanks Nathan and Taiwan for sharing so far. I think it all dates back to Soumya's first round of exploratory research, right? So taking that research, NOK, Next of Kin Creatives, was passed the baton to begin diverging and creating concepts. And that's where we started with asking the question, what if? My team and I always believe in this saying, insane today, obvious tomorrow. And this project really aligns with our belief, challenging the status quo of what people think of the urinal and what it can do for the users. And we love projects like this, where we can ask many of these what if questions. So for example, stemming from user insights around hygiene and cleanliness, we ask crazy questions like at the start, what if we had a UV sanitization for your privates? What if we had integrated sinks for washing at the urinal, or even automatic drying? So what design is powerful at is to inspire and spark conversations, like what Taiwan said, using these designs to do that. And at this earlier stage of the project, it is especially effective to take these concepts to a level where we can use articulated visuals or create quick and dirty prototypes to convey an experience and tell stories to spark these conversations. And it is very, very valuable, I must say, that Kohler looked to us for these ideas. Not the right ideas, but bold ideas. And they do really see the value of challenging a norm with us, with more provocative ideas at the beginning. Now, taking these sketches, visuals, and low fidelity mockups, with the help of Somya, of course, we went back to the users to start these conversations, elicit feedback, and I think importantly, evoke emotions, like what Taiwan said. Many of the things are in the unsaid, right? And our decision to engage them early again worked well for us because it propelled us to continue developing these design concepts that are with the user at the heart and very user-informed. In the designing phase, we often talk about creating design hypotheses. So what do I mean by that? A lot of times I find myself essentially coming up with hypotheses to test how things can work, discovering what users need and want at the same time. And in the next phase of design development, we hypothesize the potential experiences in the different scenarios or different ways users can use the product. And these hypotheses often lead us to creating what we call the design triggers that will help our users imagine these potential experiences. So for example, some of these triggers had to answer questions like, how would the user activate and interact with this washing feature at the urinal? What is the user journey like? How can we design a product experience that is respectful to the ritual at the same time? So I think on this slide, you get a peek of some of our concepts that explore the various forms and ways the user interacts with the product, and that we eventually took to the users, present to them and test with them. I think coming to the product design side, another key question is that how would the user perceive this product? You know, for this product, I would consider this as a new product category. And for such new products, it was key to create an iconic product form and intuitive gestures that guide the user properly. So using water to purify is an essential aspect of the ritual. And we took this concept further, inspired by this water element. We intuitively adopted an iconic water droplet shape, inverted it to gestured flow of water, creating a form that the Stinger urinal can call its own. So it wasn't easy as well defining small things, details like iconography that suggest the Stinger washing as well. We went through multiple design explorations with the whole team, actually, with all the different parties, and created multiple iterations to search for one that is easy to understand and respectful at the same time. Now that we are armed with these concepts and visuals, we were ready to get back to the users to validate. But before that, we felt that it was time to create a working prototype to further validate the concept. Now I'll hand over to Wailim and Taiwan to talk about how we designed an adjustable prototype to test for an ideal experience.
Hello everyone, my name is Wailim. From Trigger Design, we started off to develop the concept to make sure that all the concepts really works and really good to put into markets. So even in the early stage, before we even start, we really do a very raw model, such as what you see here, to define ergonomics, affordance, to test out affordance, to role play out within ourselves first, even when we test out, asking people to come in to test. We kind of define the angle and how the water and the pumps will go in. Then it's really raw, right? You see, just even before we started the design concept. If you can see on the video here.
So to add on what Wailim was just saying is that one of the biggest challenge for us is that this was actually a very, very personal kind of project that we are doing. So it's very, very private, and we were very puzzled, like, how are we going to test it? And especially when we did an update our leadership on the design progress, they gave me that very puzzled look, like, okay, you know, don't look at me, you know, how do we validate it? And we're like, you know what, this mock-up help us to kind of demonstrate and also formulate certain ideas about, you know what, when we're trying to do testing, how can we be very mobile, you know, bringing it from places to places, you know, and you can see that although even the design it's not a nice rendering. You can see that we innovated with the fake wall. And then on the video itself, you could realize that it's transparent. So the nozzle angles is articulatable. And also on the back, there is this tube that can move forward and backwards, because we are really trying to adjust the ergonomics earlier on in a control setting before going down to the ground. So Wylim and her team also helped me a lot, because we need to kind of do a proof of concept so that the general team, even not just the design team, but people outside, the marketing people, have a certain way to visualize and say, you know what, this is what we are doing. And there's a difference of the cultural nonsenses that we need to be careful as well. Yeah. Next. So one of the challenge that we have is, again, you know, after all the really nice, cool design, you know, the $1 million question that we always have is how do you know it's good? So we need to do the test drive. So we did. So the next page, our biggest challenge was that, you know what, as we were starting to look around the various agencies, user testings, we realized that there wasn't any facilities available. And I always like to say, you know what, when life gives you lemon and really give you a curveball, you know, how you respond to it will really make a difference. So we say, you know what, the heck with it, we're going to rent a room and we're trying to make it work. So part of the doing design, we became design contractors. You know what, Phua Chu Kang, and we did the whole Phua Chu Kang journey in Indonesia, right in the heartlands. So that's how it looked. And on the right picture, you see that we actually retrofitted rooms so that we can provide a level of privacy, so that when people test drive, they do not feel quite paiseh, you know. Next. So one of the things that I really feel that was really a highlight of the whole project was that really just do it spirit that we had. Everybody came together, you know, from the engineering team, Kohler's engineering team, you know, the handsome guys trying to fix things where we didn't have time to complete. And like they always say, you know what, Murphy will come to you where you least expected it. Murphy came in truckloads. Everything we think could work failed. And we are like, okay, let's do it. And a lot of innovation, ingenuity. And I think I became the most valued customer from the hardware shop, because I think I bought literally 6 months worth of plumbing supplies. But the cool thing is that this was the hidden energy that was behind it. And the turnout was really interesting, because finally the customer could see a functional prototype. And I'm going to hand it over to Nathan to show how we're going to do the user testing journey.
So yeah, like you see in the image, the interesting part is we are not only showing the urinal, like, hey, there's 8 urinal and which one do you like the most? But we ask them to try it one by one. So yeah, we ask the customer to use the urinal, and so we ask them to use it, and then we close the door, we leave the room, and they really use it. When they are run out of juice, we ask them to drink. We give them like lots of drinks there, and then they can use it again. So they can really know which one they like the most and how to improve it. So while they are using it, and then we come back again, we ask them, how was your experience? Can you demonstrate to us how you do this, and how do we improve? Like if you see the image on the middle, right? Some people said we need like urinal cover, so we make it with the cardboard. So we try to co-design with them to make the design that is suitable. And also like the image on the right, like we really demonstrate it and show like if the measurement is wrong, like how do they want to improve it. So we really talk with them and ask them to really use the product while doing this. And yeah, like Taiwan said, we put separate room so we can give them privacy while they are doing this.
I think what was really interesting was that although not everybody from the team could come into the user testing, we were using the power of technology where, you know what, when the testing was done and there was iterative discussion, for example, like what Nathan was saying, you know what, some customers were asking for certain P covers. We could actually hear what they say or what they didn't say, but they look like they were not happy. You know, take pictures like that and send off to, for example, next of kin and trigger, where they can work on it immediately. And then in an hour or two, we take that back and then flash it to our customers and say, hey, do you mean by this? Do you mean by that? So it was really, really collaborative. And it really surprises me because I thought this was very private. But as we start talking to them and it became something that they know that this is something very interesting and it's going to help them, the customers became really, really, really involved. So I thought those were really, really cool things that I think what we wanted to share with people listening in is that as we start going into this journey and the subjects or the customers understand that you're trying to make things better, you'll be really surprised the kind of inputs and feedback they give to you that can actually inspire and make things even cooler as well.
Yeah, so then moving on to the next slide. So yeah, after we are talking and doing the research with the customer, like ask them to demonstrate, each time in the end of the day, we talk about it. Yeah, we argue a lot with Taiwan and like, how are we going to continue this? One of the two things that I really remember is one that we argue a lot is whether we are going to use sensor or we are going to use a push button, because like sensor is supposed to be hygienic, but actually from the customer point of view, they see it as something dangerous because like it can spill everywhere and it can make their clothes dirty and make them unable to do prayer. So yeah, like we have to take decision on how is it. And the other one that is really memorable to me is like, we remember that at 10 p.m. We realized that the icon doesn't work. So many customer doesn't really know how to use the product. So we know if we continue tomorrow with the same icon, the result will be the same, and we won't get improvement. So at 10 p.m. we design a new icon and then we print it out like at 11 p.m. somewhere else in the print shop, and then in the next day we have to get back to the place at 6 a.m. and install everything again. So yeah, like it was very memorable, and even though it sounds like slavery, but we really enjoyed it, and I think
enjoy
like,
the pain.
enjoy the pain, and because we are really curious how it will turn out. So yeah, we do some sacrifices, even though because we think it will make it work. The next slide.
So I wanted to share this image to you where it
Okay,
doesn't.
Hauji, can you move on to the next slide?
Yeah, he shares. Yeah, so I wanted to share this picture to you and with the rest of the team as well. Is that this was something that doesn't really talk about usability studies, but I think it really make a huge point to us, because I think what I'm trying to say is that user really can feel that if you are genuine, on the small things you do. So this was a gentleman, an elderly gentleman, who's doing their prayers. And during the user testing, typically for us doing design, we just want the results, right? But I think what was the cool thing was that there was this mindfulness that because we are doing something about religion, and like we saying, you know what, was this and Muslim have to pray 5 times a day. So during the user testing, there are people doing your prayers. So Uka, the gentleman, took a point upon himself to actually mark out a prayer room so that when the time for prayer is up, we could see actually everything in Indonesia stops and people will do their prayers. So it's nothing fancy, but I think what the point I'm trying to make is that details matter. And as we start doing these small details, users actually understand and they felt very respected. So the picture on the right was after 3 hours of testing, the gentleman was going back, waiting for his cab, and he spoke in Bahasa and basically he says, thank you, this is the first time a company has been so respectful to my religion. I really feel very happy and considered. I really wish the team well. So it might not mean a lot to anyone, but I think it made a very big point to me. And I actually shared this with my Kohler senior leaders, Mr. Kohler himself. And when I shared that, he broke up a smile and said, you know what? That is why we do products. This is what we do, what we did. So I think the takeaway I wanted to share with you is that mindfulness and mutual respect, especially to your customer, matters. We have to try to do this so that you can have meaningful conversation and the results of the design impact can be very, very, very strong. Thanks. Oh yeah, so that was what he said, and it really helped to inspire the whole team to keep going even in a very tough time.
So yeah, after we did the rounds and research in the 3 year, so yeah, after that, when we test the final product after lots of iteration, we got the approval from the customer, from the user test, the tested user. And yeah, this is the final design that we create. Maybe William, you want to tell the story?
This is kind of the final design that we are working towards. Important is we have do a lot of testing, keep refining, make sure that the design intent is there. Over here, you can see that the sprout, how the water is being channeled to the user and how it's being delivered out of the thing. We come out with a elegant P cover that is kind of from the form factor of the urinal, which provide privacy, and it is also provide some splash proof. Single easy part. From our side, we also kind of look into design for manufacturing. Although design intent has to be there, but it has to deliver so that it is able to manufacture. Kohler is able to manufacture in a mass. So overall, we did that, test it, go back to Somia, test again. Yeah, and the result was great. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah, this kind of just a image we are looking at.
So one of the, I think we can't bring the toilet to you, but we can show you how it actually works. So this is actually done in the factory, and you could notice that other than just dispensing water, you could see that the privacy shield, other than just preventing splashes, also help to create a certain cover so that the level of privacy is actually maintained. So when we did the testing, finally, using this prototype, the customers were really glad with it. So that actually concludes what we have done. It's a super summarized projects. We didn't tell you everything, but it's just a case of what we are having. But I just want to say that I think the strength of this project was that we identified a need, we validated it with customers, and we collaborate very closely with the customers and also various competency on user research and also design teams, where we almost were seamless in the discovery and articulation of the solution. So there wasn't about like a design consultancy or Kohler. We were together and we wanted to just really make it better. And the end result was when we did the testing, the Muslim customers were like, oh, please let us know, if it's coming. And we are glad that the product has been launched in Indonesia. And we are also looking at selling this to different regions, for example, the UK or even in the US, where there were companies trying to get these products because of inclusivity and making it more acceptable for everyone in the space as well. So thank you for listening to our sharing. And if there's any questions or things you want to know, you can put it down, and then I'll hand it over to David, who will want to share more on the next really interesting story.
Thank you to the team and all the 4 speakers for sharing such an inspiring process of a design project. So as a member of the design community, it's really heartening to hear that various studios and agencies are able to come together to execute their expertise and to achieve such a remarkable project. And above this, it's also very heartening to hear that Kohler, I would say an international brand and company, are able to look beyond profits and look at design and the processes of design and put them in the forefront, respecting the cultures of the world, respecting the social sensitivities of the world. Thank you once again. So please, I shall move on to introduce our next speaker. And this project that we will be hearing about comes all the way from Taiwan. And we would have Ms. Liu Jiaying, the director.
Hi, everyone.
The General Administration Department of the Hongdao Senior Citizen Welfare Foundation. And we have Keith also. I'll take this opportunity to say a big thank you to Keith for running the translation for all of us. And he is also a fellow DBCS Exco and also the head of product design and our homegrown company, Carousel. All right, so without further ado, please may I hand the time to Jiaying to share with us this wonderful project.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Jiaying, but I'm very nervous, so now I will speak Chinese. Okay, now I share my slide. OK， 好，那我们就开始了。Hi, I'm Jiaying, and 今天要来跟大家分享的就是这个 Lonesome Hotel， 那就是孤寒大饭店。那代表弘道老人福利基金会来跟大家分享25分钟的时间。那先跟大家介绍一下弘道。那弘道开始是从1995年开始，那我们全会呢，整个基金会有609个伙伴，那有2800位志工 volunteers， 然后我们服务了将近1万名的长辈。那大家可以看到右边的台湾的地图，在橘色的地方就是我们有服务的地方。那我们的 headquarter， 我们总会就在台中，所以我现在人就在台中。那欢迎大家下次可以来到台湾、台中找我。好，那分享一下，就是在要讲孤寒大饭店这个概念之前，我们其实从2009年开始，我们就是一直有在做一个服务，叫做寒冬助老。好，那是帮助长辈在从每年的11月到隔年度的2月这当中，我们会提供几项服务。那也是我们看见，其实我们长辈的需求，包含从左边开始的，我们会到长辈的家里面除旧布新。好，简单讲就是帮他们打扫家里。好，有的呢可能是家里真的非常的凌乱，所以我们帮他整理干净，电线很缠在一起或是很老旧了，那我们帮他换新的。那第二个呢，可以看到一个阿嬷长辈奶奶很开心的去购物，这也是在台湾人的传统，也是会在年前的时候会去采买物资，采买他们需要的东西来迎接这个新年。那第三个呢，我们会是围炉餐。好，过年的时候我们就要吃围炉餐，所以有时候呢，我们可能是找几位长辈一起，我们吃一个团圆饭。那如果有的长辈他可能比较适合一个人在家，我们就会有志工带着年菜送到长辈的家里面，让他们在过年的时候也可以吃一顿跟平常不一样的餐点。那最后一个呢，在最右边是走春迎新。在新年的时候，大家都会去家家户户拜年嘛，说 Happy New Year。那对长辈来说，除了这个之外，还有一个很重大的心愿，就是去到庙里面拜拜，祈求新的一年可以更好。所以这也是我们志工朋友们会带长辈去做的。那这4个服务就在我们寒冬助老的服务当中。那为了要做这些服务呢，我们需要所谓的费用就是 donation 来支持我们持续这样子的服务。那谈到说我们为什么会有这个 Lonesome Hotel 概念，我想要先跟大家分享2个数字，这也是我们面临的挑战在台湾的那个捐款市场里面呢，我们总共捐款就可以达到1500亿。那有65% 是来自我们个人的捐款，那有35% 是来自机构的或者是企业的捐款。那第2个数字是说，其实全台湾的NPO 大概有来到5万多个 NPO， 那很少数的 NPO 会公开财报在网络上。那有一个调查是12个基金会、12个 NPO。他们就掌握了来自80% 的捐款金额。那红道就在左上角我们在19% 里面，就是 我们只有拿到20% donation， 那其实这里面就非常竞争哈，我们要在185个基金会里面竞争这20% 的费用来源、捐款来源。那我们的挑战除了刚刚提到的这2个，在捐款市场里面其实非常竞争。那再来就是，其实有一个研究也调查出，人们其实关心儿童的议题比关心长辈的还多。好，所以大家会觉得，哎，帮助儿童是一个非常有希望的，但帮助老人可能觉得，哎，他们坦白讲，可能也剩几年的时间了，所以如果他有捐款的需求的话，他想要帮助别人，可能他会想要帮助的是儿童，而非老人。那再来就是同一个时间在谈过年的议题，让长辈可以好好的过一个年的这样子的议题，其实在同一个时间有超过100个议题，可能有100个单位，他们都会在讲这个议题，所以我们如何在这里面脱颖而出，让别人看见，也是我们的挑战。那第3个挑战就是目前大家的挑战哈，我们要面对这个 COVID-19。那因为 COVID-19， 其实台湾有很多人没有办法去上班，有无薪假，那也影响了他们捐款的意愿。所以那时候我们在做这个捐款这个议题的时候，也很担心大家会不会连自己的生活都无法好好过了，那怎么会有在额外的那个收入可以来捐款支持我们做服务，所以也遇到了这个难题。我们其实一直以来有3个团队来帮助我们，在每年在讲这个捐款议题的时候，可以更有趣，然后更吸引大家注意。除了红道之外，红道我们有3个 team 在负责这个捐款专案，一个 team 负责募款，一个 team 负责宣传，那另一个 team 负责的是服务。除了红道之外呢，我们最左边是 Inspire 团队，我们已经合作了有5年之久。那这个团队他们是公关公司，负责的是创意发想。那其实5年前，他们觉得跟红道的合作是非常开心的，因为他们也一直在想用什么样的方式来帮助公益，来帮助长辈，所以他们就说，哎 ，Why not？ 我们就是来贡献我们的 idea， 让你们可以在募款的时候被更多人看见。那第2个是我们的摄影师，他是一个非常有名的摄影师，专门帮很多有名的艺人拍摄。那他也在一次活动之内认识到红道，那他也觉得，哎，我可以透过摄影来帮助你们的募款活动更棒。那第3个呢，也是我想大家应该在全亚洲都非常认识的是我们的 Ella， 在 SH 的 Ella。那我们也合作了第4年了，今年是第4年。那这3个组合在一起是一个非常有趣的跨领域的团队，因为我们都在想的是，第一个如何让大家知道老人是需要被帮助的，第2个是如何让大家知道，这个东西跟他很接近。因为我们现在都会遇到的是说，大家觉得一个募款的活动可能就是很黑暗，然后很可怜，可是我们想要转换这个形象，让大家觉得，哎，这个跟他的生活是很接近的。所以我们大家一起就在思考，怎么样让这个捐款可以变得更好玩。那我们也先从观察开始，就是大家很难去想象独居长辈的生活的样貌，可是大家都很在意自己的生活要变更好。那我们该怎么样做呢？我们在想的一个主题就是 To see is to change。以中文来说，就是从看见去改变。所以怎么拉近他们看见长辈的生活，我们Inspire 团队就提供了一个非常非常好的 idea， 谈到的就是孤寒大饭店。那这个孤寒大饭店有一个想要贴近的意涵，就是在台湾那时候疫情其实有一度是好转的，所以呢就有出现了所谓报复性旅游，大家开始讨论，哎，疫情好转了，我们要出去玩。那就在那个时机点，我们也在提说，那不如就来一个孤寒大饭店，是反映出其实我们也有一个饭店，只是这个饭店就是长辈他们家的生活，所以这个饭店不是5颗星，而是半颗星而已。那这个饭店里面呢，它要呈现就是 刚刚提到长辈他们的生活样貌，就如同现在大家看到的画面，这个饭店它来自于我们的真实故事，包含我们的长辈他可能没有办法好好用一顿饭，包含这个环境它可能是需要被打扫的，包含在这个饭店里面你没有娱乐设施，你可能每天对着就是我们的电视荧幕，那包含可能我们有的长辈他在洗澡的部分是没有办法有豪华设备的，有的人可能是要接太阳晒过的水变成温水，他才能够洗澡。那我们把这样真实的故事反映在我们这个独特的 Lonesome Hotel。我刚刚提到的这个饭店，它可能是隔夜餐，可是它或者是它提供你的是一个洗澡水，它会提供你的是一台故障电视机，它只会提供你1天2张卫生纸，都是真实来自我们长辈的故事。我们想做一个反差，就是长辈的生活是你能想象的像半颗星饭店一样的生活。所以想要让大家他来做体验，来看见这个感受，那让他感受到那个孤寂感。那有这样子的一个概念之后，我们做了蛮多的素材，一个是拍饭店的预告片 trailer， 我们拍了一个饭店的预告片，然后我们邀请艺人来拍一个饭店的介绍的影片。那我们出了4款的海报，那每一款海报在谈的就是我们刚刚的那个4个服务。那我们也跨领域，就是我们把这些素材包含到大卖场里面播放，然后也有设一些展览，那也放在一些公共的空间做展览，还有我们放到像公车站牌上面，都是希望透过很多的通路让大家眼睛为之一亮，觉得怎么会再谈一个孤寒大饭店？这个到底是什么意涵？然后让他们再多一点认识说，哦，原来这个饭店讲的是一个长辈的服务。那更有趣的是，因为孤寒大饭店这个议题，让我们有机会跨到所谓的旅游业，所以我们去申请了台中的旅游展。我们在这个展是唯一一个非营利组织，很明显的，大家可以看到左上角，我们看起来真的很 lonely 哈，就是很可怜，孤寒大饭店。所以呢，我们就在那边摆摊。那去的民众多半都是想要抢很便宜、很厉害的饭店的票。结果没想到来这个摊位，他们非常好奇说：“你们这里饭店是在哪里？怎么看起来很可怜？”那这时候就引起民众的好奇，他们就来问。在问的过程中，我们就会跟他介绍：“哦，这个不是一个饭店，我们想要谈的是一个募款的议题，然后我们再提供长辈这些服务。所以如果你觉得很想帮助的话，欢迎捐款给我们。”那这个就是我们那时候在摆摊的时候的那个状况。那很有趣，除了民众的反应之外，还有一起摆摊的这些其他的饭店业者，他们在空闲的时候都会呼朋引伴，找朋友一起来看一下说，你们是哪一间饭店？为什么这么有种会来这里摆摊？那他们也掏钱出来支持我们，所以这个是我觉得意外的收获。那我们也做了所谓 website 去呈现这整个概念。然后上面就真的很像我们在经营一个饭店的 website 一样，在呈现各个故事。那我们也试着去跟偷偷讲，我们本来想要跟 Booking.com 跟 Agoda， 但没有成功哈。但是我们也很努力的找台湾在地的，就是四方通行，他们也是一个订房网。所以呢，我们就把这个饭店很像真的饭店要上架一样，欢迎来订我们的饭店。只是当他按进去的时候，他会发现哦，那你平均每晚单价可能是0元，然后你可以设定金额来捐款给我们。那刚刚讲的是一个虚拟的，我们也让这个idea 变成一个实体的，所以我们到南机场那边租了一个老旧的公寓。那这个老旧的公寓，我们就完全打造成是一个真实的长辈家，然后我们设计了密室逃脱的游戏。那这个密室逃脱的游戏也上架，让很多原本年轻人非常喜欢密室逃脱的，他们来挑战一下。那这个密室逃脱怎么玩呢？我们会有一些关卡，每一个关卡一样都反映出了长辈真实的状况。比如说，我们是用一个故事在做串场，然后让他知道，哦，原来一个长辈 他要洗澡的时候，其实他是要把水桶拿到外面去，然后接洗澡水，他才能够开始洗澡。那这个情境让他们最后都发现，哦，原来你们要讲的是一个长辈的故事，原来台湾有这些长辈是需要帮忙的，所以引发很多年轻人，他本来都不知道有老人服务这个领域，到认识了有老人服务这个领域，然后纷纷打卡上传，去说明他们那一天的感受是非常特别的。那这样子的一个 idea，其实从 online 跟 offline，我们吸引了很多的那个民众到我们的孤寒大饭店去参与、去体验。就刚刚提到的，我们有YouTuber，然后有 KOL，我们去里面拍摄，然后也有民众去到现场去做密室逃脱。那这个是其实在社群上面有引起蛮多的分享。那以实际得来的效益，我们觉得非常开心，就是我们拿3年来做比较，上面的那个数字是捐款的金额，所以比去年来说，就是第12届比第11届来说，整整增加了124%。那以上是我们很简单，就是孤寒大饭店的介绍。那最后，如果说大家对于弘道非常有兴趣的话，欢迎可以连接我们的 Facebook 还有我们的 IG。那如果有还没有分享那么细节的地方，那欢迎大家提问。
Thank you，嘉莹，谢谢你。
Thank you。
嘉莹 ，Do you think 你有没有打算把那个 video 让大家看一下？
好 ，OK， 好险，我已经先放在我的桌面了。
Yes, I really do strongly encourage
Okay.
all of us to spend the next few minutes to look at the
Okay.
video, which is very inspiring indeed.
OK，
So may I take the opportunity to remind some of us who have asked some questions that you are able to use the Q&A function to put the questions in, and we'll address it right after this sharing. Okay, so let us watch this inspiring video.
OK，
孤寒大饭店是由弘道老人福利基金会、创意触动股份有限公司以及成威影像共同制作，为独居长者募款的企划。人口高龄化是全球趋势，而台湾高龄人口成长速度特别快，并且有45000名长辈独自居住且经济弱势。弘道基金会关怀服务独居长者，仰赖民众捐款支持，但老人服务不容易受捐款人青睐。如何吸引大众的关注及同理？孤寒大饭店就此诞生，结合春节订房旅游风潮，巧妙地将独居长者的生活情境转换成只有半颗星的饭店，邀请艺人 Ella 陈嘉桦担任公益大使，拍宣传影片，以最老的新饭店激发民众好奇心，进而了解助老服务。
欢迎来到全台最老的新饭店。没有宽敞空间，没有舒适设备，寂静无声，仿佛与世隔绝。晚餐是加热多次的隔夜饭，天气好就有阳光加热的温水澡。每天2张卫生纸，让您用上一整天。故障的电视，从天亮看到天黑。孤寒大饭店，一间由独居老人住所改装的饭店。
接着，孤寒大饭店也上架订房网站，还参加旅游展及资讯展，让民众在了解饭店设施的过程中，认识独居老人的生活。同时，在老旧公寓打造孤寒大饭店实境体验屋，邀请 YouTuber 入住1晚，并拍摄体验影片，并加入密室逃脱游戏设计，开放100位民众参加，借由体验者的分享，更具体呈现独居长者生活的艰辛。而为了让更多人看见，除了制作海报、传单、展览外，也在连锁卖场的电视播放宣传影片，并借由社群媒体加强议题推广。
你在一天都无法的地方， 却是他们仅有的归宿。
非典型的行销方式，让孤寒大饭店成为2021年春节最有特色的公益话题，吸引许多媒体报道和民众的关注，整体宣广触及160万人次。因为孤寒大饭店募款计划的成功，从2020年10月到2021年3月，红到寒冬助老网页浏览量提升3倍，捐款点击提升5倍，并且获得超过23000笔捐款，累计金额超过3900万元，较前一年成长24%，更帮助1万名长者在年节期间可以享用围炉餐、居家扫除、年货采买以及未来1年的照顾服务。因为有民众的捐款支持，非营利组织能够永续运作，降低高龄化对家庭及政府的冲击。世界各国都面临高龄化的考验，我们相信让大众以舒服、好玩的方式认识高龄议题，可以提高民众支持高龄者的意愿，并增进跨代了解。希望借由国际平台推广孤寒大饭店的成功经验，分享设计的力量，让更多人看见高龄议题，一起从看见去改变。
OK，
Thank you. Thank you,
You're
Jia Ying,
welcome.
and everyone at Hong Dao, really for starting this initiative to create such a heartwarming and dedicated design that really goes beyond branding and really inspiring to not only the design communities and hopefully to many businesses all around the world that they would achieve or they will strive to do the same. That we can see design coming in to become an example as a vehicle for compassion and for kindness. Thank you so much once again. And because of this project, it has been awarded the Platinum Award, the highest accolade for the SG Mark in 2021. All right. Thank you, everyone. We are coming to the last section of our session today. And I believe we do have a question by the attendees. And this is directed to the team of Kohler and their project, asking if their project is only currently designed for the male population only. Anyone from Kohler would like to drop us a note on this prospect?
Hi, for some reason I kind of switch off myself. Okay, I found myself. Yeah. First of all, I think that the former video from the Lonesome Hotel is outstanding. So I'm a bit shell shocked. But coming back to the question you're asking, is this for males? First of all, yes, it's a urinal, so it's for guys. But is it just for Muslim users? Actually, we did during the user research, beyond just the Muslim users, we actually got a few, I call it a different diversity of religion come over. For example, the Christians and what have you not. So one of the interesting thing was they also shared that because this istinja was actually very popular, it's almost very pervasive in Indonesia. Even if they are non-Muslim, they know what the istinja is, and they are also very used to doing that as well. So I'm a non-Muslim, I'm not a Muslim, and in this course of work, I actually have to try it. I got test drive it. So I went in with a little bit of tinted, and some perception as well. So I'm like, seriously, do you need to do that? But when you start to try it, initially it feels really weird. But as you start doing it, it's like, oh, it's a bit unusual, but it actually makes sense because if you, and I'm sorry for being so visual, okay? So when you pee, there are things that's still in that. And the fastest way actually is to rinse that, and by having that istinja spout, you are fully in control, and it actually makes a much more gracious product. So that's a long answer for a short question. Is it for guys? Yes, it's for all the guys. I hope eventually it comes to Singapore and Southeast Asia alike. Give it a test drive, try it, you'll be surprised. And oh, by the way, we are also working on other different Muslim friendly products. also for the ladies. Hopefully we can see that in about 2 years time, and we'll be glad to share that with you as well.
I think we had the perfect answer that we are developing, or Kohler is developing a design for the female population as well. And I think the next step is to go to the world. Just to finish up the questions, the Q&A with Kohler, and because of the distinct, unique group team, or a team that has been working on this project, right? Maybe I could ask the team, anyone, to share a little bit on about what is the best parts and what are the worst parts so far in working in such an A team.
I should shut up. I'll let the rest speak.
Okay, let me share a little bit. I think I wouldn't say it's the worst part. It's more of the challenge that we face, especially working on this topic that's so sensitive and underexplored. So I would say there's the challenge of communication, because I think translating from team to team, in what form should we communicate in, and how could we ensure that there's no loss of communication in certain important aspects, important points. So I think we did rather well with that. I think Taiwan played a key role in being the catalyst and kind of being the bridge between all these teams. So you need someone like Taiwan to do that. And I think, how do we communicate effectively? I think it's not just taking input from other teams at face value. It's about also taking it back into our team and internalize it, and also immerse ourselves in that topic. So for us, we really, like Taiwan said, we went to test drive ourselves as well to really understand and empathize how it can be. That and at that level, that's where all the teams can speak on the same level, have the same frequency. And I think that's also really the best part as well, where we bring our perspectives and opinions of different takes on the same topic, because Taiwan may have his own take on this issue, and we from NOK also will have our take on this issue. So that's where this cross-pollination of ideas and feedback, that's where we start to, I think it starts to get interesting as the discussion get heated and get debated. So yeah, that's my answer to this.
Thank you, Hao Jie. I think as long as the whole team shares the common goal and vision, I think the kinks will be even out somewhere.
Yeah, as long as we have really the user at the heart of what we do. I think every time we go back to the user, would the user want this? Yeah. We have a differing opinion. Yeah, let's go back to the user.
Right, that's great to hear. Next, I would like to have a question for Chia Ying. All right, we have seen and heard so much about how after the whole branding exercise and the marketing strategy, that they have gained a lot of new notice about Hong Tao and about what is the purpose of the organization. Mm-hmm. So maybe if you could share a little bit, Chia Ying, about how being and having SG Mark award, the Platinum Award to Hong Tao, and this project of Lonesome Hotel has helped you.
Oh, OK， 好 ，Keith， 如果没有听错的话，应该就是我们透过得到这个奖项，有获得了什么帮助 ，right？
Yes.
OK， 其实要先说，对于一个 NPO， 对于弘道来说，我们觉得得到奖项真的是太不可思议了，所以真的要先非常谢谢新加坡给我们这个机会，这个奖项给我们这个机会。那我们其实花了非常多时间在认识这个奖项，因为我们相信设计可以改变大家对于社会服务的印象，改变对于老人的印象，这是我们在这几年一直非常相信的，但我们没有想到，真的有奖项可以让我们证明我们的想法是对的，所以我们是非常非常感动，包含我们所有的团队，就是刚刚讲的 Inspire 的团队，然后摄影师，然后 Ella 都非常开心，就是我们坚持这4年的想法是很正确的，我们不是为了募款而募款，而是在这个募款的前提，我们想要做的是社会教育。 我们不一定觉得大家捐款才叫支持，而是他正视这个议题就是基金会存在的意义。所以我们在做的是用很大资源在做这个社会教育，那能让非常多人认识是非常开心的。所以得到这个奖项对我们最大的帮助就是认识大家，认识更多设计圈的朋友。我们也想让大家知道，我们是非常张开双手欢迎各个领域跟我们一起合作。那这个也是我们在做募款，然后在做社会服务里面最大的理念，就是帮助长辈，不是只有老人服务团体，不是只有志工能做，而是每一个领域都可以贡献自己的专业来帮助我们。所以 from now on， 我们觉得现在开始，我们有得到一些帮助，就是让设计圈的朋友认识我们。那我非常相信，接下来会有更多人因为 SGD 的奖项而来跟我们提案，而来跟我们觉得说，哎，我们也可以开始为社会服务多做一点事情。那我们也可以更有信心，再往下一个案子或是之后的一些合作，我们也可以主动去跟别人来分享这个喜悦。所以对我们来说，这个奖项我们会放在未来跟很多提案的时候更加强说，嘿，这个 idea 是被肯定的，嘿，这个 idea 是更可以继续往下的，对，让他人也觉得对我们是很有信心的。那再来就是想要改变募款这个方法，就是让大家知道募款不是只有把故事摆出来去讲这个长辈有多可怜，而是让所有在做募款的团队知道，用创意、用好玩的事情是可以被接受的。所以我相信这个改变正在开始。那所以很谢谢这次有这个得奖机会，让我们有机会在这个平台里面跟你们分享台湾，跟你们分享红道，跟你们分享老人的议题。谢谢。
Thank you, Jia Ying. I think it was really a fantastic testament for all of us. And in today's session, thank you once again, everyone, for being here and spending the last hour or so with all of us. And we can see businesses like Kohler to businesses or organizations like Hongdao are able to use design and employ it to become better. So as a closing, I would like to also remind that the next run or the coming run of the SG Mark application is now open. All right. And currently, we are also running a fantastic promotion of a 1-for-1 application. All right. So appeal and a call to all designers and companies out there who are interested to be like Kohler and Hongdao, which are able to use design as a leverage to bring their business to further heights. Please, we invite you to submit your application. All right. And it is from now running till the 1st of or the 15th of January 2022, where the 1-for-1 ends on the last day of this year, the 31st of December. So please, if you would like to find out more, please visit our website and try to Google about SG Mark, and you should be able to refresh yourself with more details there. So once again, thank you all of you for joining us for today's design crawl, and we look forward to seeing you at our next session. Thank you and goodbye, everyone. So scan it, okay? Last call to join us as a member, so you'll be in touch with all our activities or our programs and all talks like this. And hopefully we have more physical meetups that we could come about very soon, which we just had one recently. All right, so join us as a member and we will keep you in loop and we will share with you more updates as we go along. Thank you once again and have a good day.